Hello everyone, let's start our today's discussion. I hope you all remember that in our previous two classes, we had discussion on official mock exam issued by ACCA for Advanced Taxation exam for September 2025 exam attempt. In our today's class, we will be moving forward in our discussion and we will be looking at the last question of this mock exam, which is question number 3. And with this, the discussion on this official mock exam will be completed. In this series of past paper discussion sessions, we will be looking at 7 complete attempt exam papers so that you can have an idea that how you have to deal with an actual examination where you will be having all of the topics together in a time restricted situation. These past paper discussion sessions are really important in your finalization days of exam preparation as they give you a real idea about the exam situation and this practice platform. As we have looked in the previous questions also, that when we are discussing these exam papers, we use these life-saving summary notes in which I have summarized the entire course in just 57 pages. We look at different rules so that you can have a revision since you still have a time before your actual examination. Okay, now let's look at this question number 3. Our approach will remain the same. We'll first read this introduction. We'll look at these exhibits, the requirement tab. We'll be discussing the points which we have to include in our answer, and then at last, we'll actually type the whole answer during this class only so that you can have an idea that how exactly you attempt your paper. Okay, so it will be a detailed session. Your patience and concentration throughout will be very much important. Now, you should assume that today's date is 1st September 2025. Arjun has requested advice in respect of the after-tax cost of taking on either a part-time employee or a self-employed consultant. Okay, this is an introduction of the question. The examiner is giving us brief information that what he will be expecting in this scenario. So a planning that whether he should hire an employee or a self-employed consultant. Obviously, when you hire an employee, you have to pay NIC, you have to pay salary. For self-employed consultant, it is just a trading expense. You pay to him and that's all. The impact of pursuing his hobby of clothing designs for family and friends, and the VAT implications of voluntary VAT registration. The following exhibit available on the left-hand side of the screen provides information relevant to the question. There is only one exhibit, Arjun, which we will be reading. The information should be used to answer the question requirements within your chosen response options. See, when you are reading the question for the first time, it's very important that you read with patience. Don't rush. If you will rush, what will happen is that you will start feeling that, oh, the question is difficult. Whereas the question is in reality an easier one. It is all about analyzing the scenario in a good manner. I always say to my students that whatever you have studied throughout the course, that's just 50%. The remaining 50% is your exam preparation, how much relaxed you are, how you manage the complete exam paper. That's very important. Okay, now let's read this exhibit, Arjun. I want you all to listen to me carefully. It's an easy one. You just need to understand the rules carefully. Arjun is resident and domiciled in UK. Arjun is a qualified theatre costume designer. He runs an unincorporated business, Ariad, for many years, which currently has no employees. Wishes to take on either a part-time employee or a self-employed consultant on a trial basis for 1 year. Okay, so as the introduction gave us the information that he is evaluating the situation that whether to hire an employee or to use a self-employed consultant, we have to evaluate those situations. Now, our yard business operates a design and production business providing costumes and props for theatres across London. Makes a tax adjusted trading profit of £70,000 each year. Let's read further. Employee versus consultant option. Option 1. The part-time employee. Proposed remuneration package. Salary of 8450 pounds for the year. Use of a tablet computer for which cost of the business will be 430 pounds. Will have no resale value at the end of the year. The tablet computer will have both business use and a significant private use. An allowance of 3.5 pounds per week for 48 weeks to cover the additional cost incurred in working from home. Now, see, you are paying the salary. Being the employer, see, Arjun is the employer, Arjun is not an employee. Being the employer, on the salary, you have to think about class 1 employer NIC. You are providing a tablet computer, so it will be a business asset, so you will get capital allowance on it. Annual investment allowance, an asset you are purchasing for the employee. Employee will be using for business and private. Owner is not using, employee will be using. So you will be getting a normal capital allowance. If the owner would be doing private use, then you prorate the capital allowance. Here the employee will be doing private use. Now, since employee is doing private use, usage benefit will arise. And on this usage benefit, Arjun, being an employer, will have to think about class 1A employer NIC. On the non-cash benefits provided to employee, you have to think about class 1A employer NIC. We'll look at all of these things in detail when we'll be actually drafting the answer. An allowance of 3.5 pounds per week for 48 weeks to cover additional cost of working from home. See, home worker allowance is exempt up to 6 pounds. If you remember, you can just go to summary notes, write home worker allowance. Home worker allowance is exempt up to 6 pounds per week. And he's only giving 3.5 pounds. So that will be an exempt benefit. Okay. Obviously, that will be a cost of the business, but it won't attract any NIC implications. The self-employed consultant will charge a fees of 9,300 pounds for the year. The consultant will not be registered for the purpose of value-added tax. Okay. Now then there is detail about VAT. So I will stop here. I know that the first thing was about this employee versus consultant option we read in the introduction also. So let's do the requirement in relation to it because the information is fresh in our minds. Calculate whether it would be cheaper for Arjun. Arjun is the employer, please remember. After income tax and NIC for 1 year period, if Ariad business were to employ the part-time employee or use the services of a self-employed consultant, provide explanation of the income tax implication for the part-time employee of the benefits provided. How many marks? 10 marks. We have to discuss this employee versus consultant option. Sir, how did you get in your mind that I should go and refer the requirement? See, normally also I suggest to the students that when you are reading the question and when you see that, okay, the topic is changing, now he's going to VAT. So you should read the requirement. Maybe you can cover the requirement through the information which you have read. Secondly, if you go at the introduction screen, it was clear that first requirement is for after tax cost of taking on either an employee or a self-employed consultant. You can read the whole exhibit also first. That's completely acceptable. It's just like reading half page more. But since you have read this half page and you can deal with this requirement, it's very much better because the information is fresh in your mind. Okay. This is a complete 10 marks requirement which you have to deal with it. Whether it would be cheaper for Arjun after income tax and NIC for 1 year period if the Ariad business were to employ the part-time employee or use the services of a self-employed consultant. Okay. So now let's open the word processor. I want you all to listen to me very carefully. Believe me, it's easy. Arjun. This is the question. Part A, part-time employee versus self-employed consultant. So we have to take decision about it. If you want, you can copy paste the whole requirement also, but it's a very textful requirement, a lot of text or narrative. You can copy paste it also. I normally do that. Okay. But if you want, you can write this small statement also. Since it's not question number 1. In question number 1, you have marks for communication skill. In question 2 and 3, you don't have marks for communication skill, so you have to be relaxed in answering. Like just answer the requirement. No need of specific headings. If you give headings, that's okay. Otherwise, it's not mandate. So now let's first evaluate the situation of part-time employee. I want you all to listen to me carefully. If Arjun will hire a part-time employee, then in that case, his cost for the business will be, what will be his cost? See, Arjun is the employer. He is doing the business. He is considering to hire this employee. Okay. Now I will add a table here. If you want, you can do this thing on spreadsheet also. Okay. Because we will be making a comparison, adding the things and all. I particularly feel comfortable doing it in a table so that my whole answer is solved on a single screen. Otherwise, you will have to give a reference that, okay, the costing is done on spreadsheet. That's completely your choice. Okay, now let's start. Now let's think. If we hire a part-time employee, what will be our cost? Our cost will be this salary. Okay, salary paid to part-time employee. This will be our cost. Okay, don't rush, just listen to me carefully. This will be our cost. We'll have to pay that. I will copy this pound sign. Okay, and here I will paste it through Control V. 8450. What else will be your cost? You will have to purchase this tablet computer for 430 pounds. Okay, purchase of tablet computer. How many pounds? 430 pounds. These all are your cost. You will have to incur these expenses. And you will have to pay an allowance of 3.5 pounds per week. See, currently I am not talking about the tax. I am just looking at the outflows which will be happening. Salary, tablet computer, it will have zero resale value after a year, and this allowance. Home worker allowance paid to employee. How much? 3.5 pounds per week, if I am not wrong. Yes, 3.5 pounds per week into 48 weeks. The question has said everything. So 3.5 pounds per week into 48 weeks, it is 168 pounds. Are you getting my point? See, these are the outflows which Arjun will have to do if he is hiring a part-time employee. He will have to pay a salary to him. He will have to purchase a tablet computer for him. He will have to pay home worker allowance to him. Are you getting my point? Now let's move forward. Then he will have to pay class 1 employer NIC. On cash benefits given. He will have to think about class 1 employer NIC. So for that, I will add note 1 because now we'll have to discuss. Okay. Now we'll have to discuss note 1. Okay. Now, just listen to me carefully. Class 1 employer NIC needs to be considered on 2 cash benefits given, which include salary of 8450 pounds and home worker allowance of 168 pounds. Because these two things you are giving him in cash. Whatever you give in cash, you have to think about class 1 employer NIC. Just listen with patience. Believe me, I will solve it in a very beautiful manner. Now, you have to think about class 1 employer NIC. Go to the tax tables. These tax tables will be given to you in the examination. Scroll down. Go to class 1 employer NIC. Up till 9,100. Your class 1 employer NIC rate is 0%. You all know these rates, and the rates will be available in the examination also in this tax rate sheet. Okay, so now class 1 employer NIC on salary will be 0 as it lies in 0% band of 9,100 pounds because this salary is 8450 pounds. Home worker allowance is exempt benefit as it is less than exemption limit of 6 pounds per week. Okay, Arjun is paying 3.5 pounds per week. Okay, no class 1 employer NIC on exempt benefit. Done. Here you go. Just listen to the things carefully and you will be able to understand in the best possible manner. Okay, what did I do? I'm making the cost of Arjun of hiring this employee. So if Arjun will hire this employee, he will pay the salary. He will purchase a tablet computer. He will pay this home worker allowance. These will be the actual outflows from his pocket. Then he will have to think about class 1 employer NIC. Since he is giving this tablet computer and it will be used for private purpose also. So there will be class 1A employer NIC also. Class 1A employer NIC on non-cash benefits. Okay. Now, note 2. Think from the perspective of the employer, not employee. Note 2. Class 1A employer NIC will arise on non-cash benefit provided to employee in form of use of tablet computer for private purpose. Okay. Usage benefit will be how much? It is a tablet computer worth 430 pounds into 20%. That gives you the usage benefit. He has not gifted it to him. He has allowed him to use it for private use also. So that is 86 pounds. Class 1A employer NIC will be 86 pounds into 13.8%. Sir, will you repeat the things again? Yes, I will repeat. So that gives us 12 pounds. So that is the class 1A employer NIC which will be payable. Sir, please repeat it again. See, if Arjun will hire a part-time employee, he will pay a salary. He will purchase a tablet computer for the job. Okay. This is an outflow you will be doing. You won't be doing anything if you hire a self-employed consultant. Since there is private use, so there will be usage benefit. On usage benefit, there will be class 1A employer NIC. See, you are not an employee, you are employer. Okay. Home worker allowance is an expense, an outflow. Class 1 employer NIC on cash benefit, both cash benefits were not subject to class 1 employer NIC because salary was below the threshold and home worker allowance was exempt. Exempt benefits are exempted for the employee perspective also and from the employer perspective also. Okay, no employer NIC also. And then class 1 employer NIC on the usage of this tablet computer, you will calculate the usage benefit. You all know it's 20%. If you have forgotten, just go to summary notes, yeah, write usage benefit, and here you can find its cost into 20%. Okay, now comes income tax and NIC saving on allowed expenses. See, now this is very much important where students make an error. Now, what do you mean by this? See, when you hire an employee, you are doing these expenses. And on these expenses, it will become an allowed expense from your trading P&L. Just think about it. It will become an allowed expense from your trading P&L. See, as I write the point, you will be able to understand. Note 3. Okay. Arjun will be able to claim allowed expense from trading P&L against the expenses he is doing for hiring an employee. Okay, this allowed expense will reduce his trading profit. He is a sole trader. He is not a company, he is a sole trader. Will reduce his trading profit, which will save his income tax and class 4 NIC on trading profits. Whatever trading profits you have to think about income tax and class 4 NIC. See, questions like these have come in the past papers a lot of time. So it's not something which is very much abnormal. Okay. Now, costs of Arjun include what cost it include? It includes salary paid plus purchase of tablet computer on which he will get capital allowance in under annual investment allowance rule. Okay, annual investment allowance, it's a very big value. This 430 pound will be easily covered in it. Okay, plus outflow of home worker allowance cost. Whatever amounts you are paying, that is your allowed expense, that is your cost, plus class 1A employer NIC paid. Whatever amounts you are paying, just listen to me, whatever amounts you are paying, those become your allowed expense. The salary for the tablet computer, it is capital allowance thing. See, usage benefit is not your allowed expense. You have nothing to do with the usage benefit. On the tablet computer, you will get capital allowance. Home worker allowance, even though it is an exempt benefit for NIC purpose, but it was an outflow from our pocket. So whatever outflows are happening, that become an allowed expense. There was no class 1 employer NIC, otherwise that would also be an allowed expense. And then the class 1A employer NIC we paid. So total allowed expense will be 8450, 430, 168 and 12. So that's 9060 pounds. On this, income tax will be saved at 40% and class 4 NIC will be saved at 2%, considering existing trading profits of how much? He had given us the trading profits which were around, I think, 70,000. Yes. So if you have the trading profits of 70,000, so you are a higher rate taxpayer. So income tax will be saved at 40%. You are a higher rate taxpayer. And obviously class 4 NIC, that also after 50271 becomes at the rate of 2%. Okay. So obviously when you will hit this allowed expense, your profits will decline. Now when your profits will decline, it will lead to tax saving. Tax saving will be 9060 into 40% plus 2%. 40% saved of the income tax and 2% saved of class 4 NIC. Okay. So 9060 into 40 and then 2. So it saves 3805 pounds. So this is the saving. Other one were the cost. Okay. You can either show all negative and this as positive, or all as positive and show saving as negative, because you have to net it off. Okay. So after tax cost for Arjun of hiring an employee will be 9060 minus 3805. So that's 5255 pounds. Sir, will you repeat it again? Yes, I will repeat. See, if we hire an employee, what will happen? We will pay a salary to him. We will purchase a tablet computer for him. That is our cost. Okay. We will purchase a tablet computer for him. We will pay him a home worker allowance. Okay. So these all are the outflows which we are doing. We will have to think about class 1 employer NIC, which is 0. The reason being is that the salary falls below the threshold and home worker allowance was exempt. There will be class 1A NIC on the non-cash benefit. Are you getting my point? Then, since Arjun is doing so many expenses, they will become allowed expense from his trading P&L. He paid salary. On tablet computer, he will get capital allowance. Outflow of home worker allowance. Obviously, it is an exempt benefit for the employee. It is exempt from NIC perspective, but it is a cost we are incurring. and class 1 employer NIC, which we are paying on the usage benefit, the 12 pound. So if we add up all of them, that was a total expense of 9060. On that, we will save our income tax in class 4 NIC. Since our profit will decline, so it will generate the saving. Now, if self-employed consultant is hired, it will be very easy. Is hired. In this case, what will happen? A very easy thing. A very easy thing. Okay. Amount paid to self-employed consultant. How much amount you will pay to the self-employed consultant? You will just pay him 9,300 pounds. That's all. Now you don't care about his tablet, computer or home worker allowance or anything. You just pay him 9,300 pounds. Okay. And on that you will save income tax and NIC saving on allowed expense. Okay. Amount paid of 9,300 will become your allowed expense. Amount paid to self-employed consultant will become an allowed expense from trading P&L for Arjun, as it is a trading expense or as it is a business expense. Okay, this allowed expense will reduce Arjun's profits, which will save income tax and NIC. Copying and pasting the same statement here. Okay, and then on this, income tax will be saved at 40% and NIC will be saved at 2% due to his existing profits of 70,000. So tax saving will be 9,300 into 40% saved in income tax and 2% saved of class 4 NIC. So that will be 3,906 pounds. So after tax cost of hiring self-employed consultant. See, no class 1 employee NIC or class 1 employee NIC because he is not my employee now. So 5,394 pounds. Here you go. Okay. So I will delete this now. So if consultant is hired, his cost is 5,394, 9,300 he pays. Income tax and NIC saving will arise because he is incurring a business expense, will reduce his trading profit, which will save his. I'm not talking from the employee perspective now. From the employer perspective, his income tax and class 4 NIC will be saved. Okay. Here the cost was 5,255 and here it's 5,394. So if I give a conclusion, okay, it is cheaper for Arjun to hire a part-time employee as it will result in a lower after-tax cost. Okay, you can see yourself also that here the cost is 5,255 whereas here it is 5,394. So we have to go for an option which reduces our outflow. So if you look at it, if you hire an employee, you did so many outflows, we discussed it multiple times. Whatever outflows you were doing, you got saving in form of income tax and class 4 NIC because that will become an allowed expense in your trading P&L. If you hire this self-employed consultant, then in that case, you will pay 9,300. You will save your income tax and class 4 NIC again because you hire an employee or you hire a consultant. In any case, you are doing a business expense. Your trading profit will decline. You will save your income tax and class 4 NIC, that's for sure. And then you gave the final conclusion. I believe that it was an easy one. 10 marks, half of the question is done. Now part B. Part B1. Give 3 reasons why HMRC is likely to consider Arjun carrying on a trading business in respect of sale of his handmade outfits. We haven't read that. And state how it will be treated for tax purpose if Arjun is not considered to be carrying on trading business. So now this is a 6 marks requirement which we have to discuss now. Okay, this part B1 and part B2. But obviously for that, we need to go and read the scenario further. Okay, we need to go and read the scenario, that what the scenario is saying in this regard. Okay, so now this is the next requirement which we are looking on. I want you all to listen to me carefully. I've just pasted the requirement here. Okay, so now let's go and read the scenario, because then there is detail about this value added tax and Arjun's hobby of wedding dresses. Okay, apparently this requirement is about selling these handmade outfits, which is about his hobby. So let's look at it, that what he's saying here. Okay. Okay, so let's read about this. A friend of Arjun's has told him that if he take on someone to help him in the business, whether that be an employee or a consultant, that he will be able to set that cost of against his income, which will bring his profits down and keep him under the VAT threshold. So basically, his friend is saying him that okay, if you hire an employee or if you go for a consultant, you can set off that cost against your income. That will bring your profits down and that will reduce you from the VAT registration threshold. Now, what his friend is saying is wrong, because VAT registration threshold is not on your profits. VAT registration threshold looks at the value of your taxable supplies, the value of taxable sales, standard rated and zero rated sales which you are doing. And if your taxable supplies hit 90,000 pounds in 12 months period, you have to get yourself registered for VAT. So it is not about the profits, it is your sales value, the sale of taxable supplies. He would like to avoid being VAT registered if possible. We look at it as we move forward. Arjun's hobby, wedding dress design. Arjun has recently designed and made a wedding dress for a friend who wanted a unique gown to wear for their castle ceremony. Many of the guests at the wedding approached Arjun to ask if he would be able to design garments for them as well. Arjun enjoys making clothes and has made a number of outfits for himself and his family rather than buying the clothes from retail shops. The wedding guests have indicated that they are willing to pay the market price for these items. Arjun would love to make some outfits for other friends, but does not anticipate making much money and therefore does not think this will be a business for tax purposes. Okay, so basically here he has some details about the value added tax registration where his friend gave him some advice, and about these wedding dresses which he will be taking on as a hobby. Okay, now if we go and look at the requirement which we are currently looking on, give three reasons why HMRC is likely to consider that Arjun is carrying on a trading business in respect of the sale of his handmade outfits. See, whenever we sell anything, there are two possibilities in it. Either it will be regarded as a trading activity. If it is regarded as a trading activity, you will have to pay income tax and class 4 NIC on it. And if it is not a trading activity, then it is your one-off transaction, which we call as a capital transaction. You are not required to pay income tax and class 4 NIC on it. Like for example, if I give you an example, for example, I am a normal person. I sell a house. It's my own house, I sell it. So will it be a trade? No, because I don't do it regularly. It's not my trading activity. Okay, I don't do it as a business activity. It was a one-off thing. But if I buy 10 houses in a month and then sell them, so maybe tax department will say that, wait a minute, it's not a one-off transaction. Now it has become a trade. So three reasons why HMRC is likely to consider that Arjun is carrying on a trading business in respect of the sale of his handmade outfits. Now, apparently, this is a topic named as badges of trade. Badges of trade means those factors which can regard any activity as a trading activity. Which can regard any activity as a trading activity. Tax department looks at the subject matter, like whether it's a gold or property or something, because in those people invest. Otherwise, if someone is doing buying, selling, like here is he's doing of clothes, so that apparently looks like a trade. frequency of transaction, how many times you are doing it, length of ownership, whether the transaction is planned or unplanned, whether you are doing any complementary work, any work on it or not. These are the factors which indicate that what activity you are doing is a trade or it's one of capital transaction. Are you getting my point? Now, three reasons why HMRC is likely to consider that Arjun is carrying on a trading business. So if you look at this situation, apparently, if we look at the frequency of the transaction, Arjun would love to make some outfits for other friends but does not anticipate making much money and therefore does not think that this will be a business for tax purpose. So now here we need to talk on frequency of transaction, that how many times he will be doing that transaction. But there is one problem. See, Arjun's normal business is also of designing costumes. He is currently also in doing this costume activity. So the subject matter of his handmade outfits and the costume designer thing, that may be considered as a similar activity and therefore the tax department may consider it as a business. Then if you look at it, people are willing to pay him the market price. So that also indicates that he will be earning the profit on these things. And when your motive gets profit, when it becomes a planned transaction, so maybe tax department will consider it as a trade. So what he's asking is that what are the factors due to which it may be regarded as a trade? So you can talk on the subject matter. Handmade outfits, if you are selling them, it's not an investment, it's a trading activity. Okay. And secondly, it's very much similar to its that theater outfit thing. The dresses which he make for the theater, the word which was used here, he is in the costume designer activity. Okay. Secondly, frequency of transaction. Since a lot of people are getting interested, so when he'll start doing multiple transactions, so it may be regarded as a trade. Length of ownership. He'll just make it and sell it. Make it and sell it. Shorter the length is, it is a trade. Because those who are doing trade try to sell it as soon as possible. Now the transactions will be planned because he's getting orders. Okay. So you have to explain three reasons why it may be regarded as a trade. Is likely to consider that Arjun is carrying on trade. Okay. HMRC may consider Arjun's sale of handmade outfits as a trade, as subject matter handmade outfits is not an investment type asset. Okay. Multiple transactions in it indicates trade intention. Okay. This subject matter is very much similar to Arjun's existing business of theater costumes, business of theater costume design. Okay. Due to this reason, HMRC may consider sale of handmade outfits as a trade within his main business. See, HMRC may say that, okay, why are you selling so many handmade outfits, like the clothes, the wedding dresses? Is it a one-off capital transaction or it's a trade? Like if it would be one-off property sale, one-off sale of gold, something like that, it would be a different thing. But handmade outfits or selling wedding clothes is not an investment asset. Further, after recent wedding dress design, Arjun is getting positive interest from a lot of people, which indicates that frequency of transaction may increase in coming days. If frequency of transaction increases, then HMRC may consider sale of handmade outfits as a proper trade rather than one of sale. Okay. Lastly, as customers are willing to pay market price to Arjun for his dresses, this indicates it will be a proper profit based activity. Okay, Arjun will plan his cost and look for a profit in these transactions as customers will be paying him according to market value of those dresses. Okay, see, if it would be like customers would have said that, okay, made it for us, whatever cost is, we'll pay you the cost. It's not like that. They are willing you to pay the market price. So maybe Arjun is saying that I'll save few of the dresses and does not anticipating making much money. It's not about much money. It is about per transaction you will be having a profit because they will be willing to pay you the market price. First of all, he was doing it for himself or family. He was not selling it. Now, a lot of guests have approached him. So the frequency will increase. So then automatically tax department will get serious about this thing. Then how this income would be treated if Arjun is not considered to be carrying on trade? If it is a trade, then there will be income tax and class 4 NIC on it. But if it is not a trade, then there will be no trading business taxation on it. Tax department will consider it as a one-off sale. Okay. And whatever profit you are having, it may consider it as a simple other income. Okay. Sometimes they consider it under the rules of capital gain tax. But it is not a normal investment asset. These are the wedding dresses which he is selling that he made it himself. Like he is not purchasing and selling it. He is making them on his own. So you won't call it as a capital gain tax. You will call it as the tax department will just include it as his other income in the non-saving income. If sale of wedding outfits, if sale of handmade wedding outfits, or since the question has said just handmade outfit, just let's keep that on. If sale of handmade outfits is not regarded as a trade, then whatever profit Arjun is earning on them will be taxed on him as a non-saving income under head of other income. Okay. It will not be subject to class 4 NIC of trading income. Now here some students may have a query that, sir, normally when we say badges of trade, it's either a trading activity or it's a capital transaction in CGT. Now if you look at this transaction, he is not purchasing something and selling it. When you purchase and sell, in that if it is not a trade, it becomes capital gain tax. But here it is not purchasing and selling it. He made these outfits on his own. These are handmade outfits. So it is like he incurs some cost, not a purchase and sell. So now what tax department will do is that for whatever you sold it, less the cost, you get a profit. That profit will not be considered as a trading income such that it will be subject to income tax and class 4 NIC. It will just be considered as an other income in his non-saving income. He will pay income tax on it. Non-saving income is the default. It's not interest income or dividend income. It will go in the head of non-saving and normal income tax will be payable. Okay. So I believe if you look at this 6 marks requirement, first of all, he asked us 3 reasons it is likely to consider it as trade. The subject matter, it's not an investment subject matter. It is something if someone is doing it multiple times, it's a trade. And further, this subject matter is very much similar to his normal business. Then frequency will increase. Since customers are willing to pay the market price, it indicates the profit situation. If it is not a trade, now if you remember in batches of trade, if something is not a trade, it goes in the head of capital gain tax. If it is trade, income tax, otherwise CGT. Now you cannot put these handmade outputs in CGT because it's not purchase and sell. It's like making something. So that's why we won't call it as a capital gain. So whatever profit will be, it will be included in his income tax return as other income. Okay, now coming to the last requirement, part C. Okay, I believe that this was a very easy requirement and a very brief one. Now, some students will say, sir, only 4 comments and you get 6 marks. He asked me 3 reasons and then state that what will be the treatment. So, whatever he has asked, we've answered that. So, in advanced taxation, it is not about writing more or less. It is ensuring the completeness. Now, explain whether or not the friend's advice regarding VAT registration is correct. First of all, comment on the friend's advice and advise Arjun on whether voluntary registration may be beneficial. Now, first of all, his friend's advice is wrong. The cost cannot be set off. Okay. Advice of Arjun's friend is wrong, as for VAT registration threshold, expenses are not adjusted against the income. Okay, VAT registration threshold is applied on value of taxable supplies of a business, which means sale of standard rated and zero rated items done by a business. Okay, if sale of taxable supplies exceed registration threshold of 90,000 pounds. Okay, let me copy the pound sign. Registration threshold is 90,000 pounds. Registration threshold of 90,000 pounds, then VAT registration needs to be done. Okay, taxable supplies of previous 12 months or expected taxable supplies of next 30 days are evaluated against the VAT registration threshold. Done. So first of all, Arjun's friend advises wrong. You cannot adjust the expenses. What he's saying, that you can adjust the cost against your income. Okay, so his friend's advice is wrong. Now, what else he asked? And advise Arjun on whether voluntary VAT registration may be beneficial. Now, it's a general question. What are the benefits of getting yourself registered? You can simply go to your summary notes. Voluntary VAT registration. Okay, here you go. Advantages: you will be able to recover your input tax. Okay, you can recover your input tax on the purchases you are doing. Sometimes registration may be required due to your business or model. For example, you are doing export businesses, so you may require registration. Okay, other advantages can be that once you get registered, you are not required to evaluate the registration limit every period end. It's okay, once you are registered, that's good. Once you have registered for VAT, now you don't need to evaluate. Now you are not required to evaluate every month that whether I am hitting the registration threshold or not. Plus, if your customers are registered for VAT and you also get registered, that's beneficial because you will be able to recover your VAT. On the sales, you will charge VAT on them and they will also recover it. So ultimately, your cost gets reduced because if you are not registered, you are not able to recover the VAT which you have paid on your purchases, and ultimately you consider it as your cost. Let's look at it while I draft. Voluntary VAT registration will be beneficial for Arjun, as once he gets registered for VAT, he will not be required to evaluate VAT mandatory registration threshold every month. Okay, otherwise you will have to look at the VAT registration threshold. Risk of getting a penalty or risk of missing mandatory registration threshold is eliminated or is minimized once a business gets voluntarily registered. Now, there is no risk that you will miss out the compulsory registration because you have get yourself registered voluntarily, and it's normally advisable that once you get very near to the threshold, it's better to get yourself registered rather than waiting till the last second. Further, once Arjun will get registered for VAT, he will be able to recover VAT paid on purchase of taxable supplies if his finished good is also a taxable supply. Okay, recovery of VAT will reduce his cost. You will be able to recover the VAT. The input tax recovery gets started. Okay, the input tax recovery gets started. Lastly, if customers of Arjun are VAT registered, then himself getting his business registered for VAT is beneficial, as he will be able to recover VAT of his purchases and VAT he is charging on his customers on sales will be recovered by them if they are also registered for VAT. This will make his cost of goods cheaper for his customers, for his VAT registered customers, as he will not be included his irrecoverable VAT in his purchase cost. Now just think about it. See, if I'm not registered for VAT and I'm not able to recover my VAT, just think about it. If I'm not registered for VAT and I'm not able to recover my VAT, so in that case, that is my expense, that is my cost. So I will include that cost as part of like material, labor, overhead, and I will also include my irrecoverable VAT cost. And see, if a business has any cost, it will just consider it as its cost, and then it will add a markup on it while selling. So if I'm not registered for VAT, irrecoverable VAT is my expense. So that increases my cost and also my finished good. But if I get registered for VAT, I will start recovering my VAT. So that expense will eliminate. I paid it to the supplier and then I recovered it. But now when you will be selling it to your customer, you will be charging VAT on it. But if he is also registered for VAT, then automatically what will be happening is that your price will go down. Just think about it. For example, my raw material is of 100. Think about it. Listen to me. Your raw material is of 100. You paid 20 pounds VAT on it, 20%. So your cost became 120. Now, if you would be able to recover this 20, then your cost will come back to 100. Otherwise, your cost will be 120. You will add a profit of 100 in it and you will sell it for 220. But if you will be able to recover your VAT, then you will add your profit of 100 in your purchase price of 100 and you will be able to sell it for 200 only. But when you get registered for VAT, you have to charge VAT on your sales also. So at that time, it's very much necessary that whether your customers are registered for VAT or not. So it was a 4 marks requirement. First, we commented on the friend's advice and then we commented that whether it is beneficial for Arjun to get himself voluntarily registered. Okay. So if you look at it, I believe that this question is done. It was a very easy one, I believe. Like looking at the situation of part-time employee and self-employed, very easy. Then a very simple requirement of badges of trade. And if the income activity is not a trade, then how we tax it. Then we discussed about this VAT registration thing. So if you look at this pre-mock of September 25 attempt, I believe that it was an easy one. It wasn't a very much difficult one. But obviously, it was very much necessary that a student has remembered and kept these rules in his mind thoroughly. Okay, if you have any queries in your mind, you can always connect with me on my WhatsApp number, and we'll be continuing with our series of past paper discussion, and so on. We'll be moving forward. Okay, thank you, everyone.